So good. So welcome to our time mastery workshop. We just share the old screen here. So this is a series of 6 workshops that we run through the quarter, varying from sales and marketing through time management, which is this one, team, and some finance as well. So we're really sort of looking at these 3 key areas to help us with getting more out of our day, actually work on the business more than working in the business, which is really what we're here to actually achieve. So before we start, it's always good to think about, okay, so what is it that you want to get out of today? So with regard to sort of time management, Gary, what's top of your list to achieve?
I'd like to be thing is, and you know me long enough to know that there's Gary's reality versus Gary's I'd love to, I'm going to do this and this and that. So I'd like to have a better understanding of what's a realistic use of my time. So don't just say, oh, I'm going to do this for 2 hours today, that for 3 hours, blah, 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 but then don't factor in things like trying to eat or things like driving from work to home. Like I don't have a good understanding of how to like compartmentalize each phase of the day. So I can do I'm going to do that for 2 hours, but I didn't consider it's going to take me half an hour to drive between A and B to get from that point to that thing. So just a bit more understanding of the reality of doing a default diary and having everything in a time schedule.
Okay, cool. Sam?
Yeah, just basically like maybe a better framework to manage my time with, really, because I tend to find I'm busy all day, but not necessarily doing the right things to move the business forward. It seems to be a lot of busyness rather than busy proactive work.
Yes, yeah. Look, in a small business in today's world, you're always being pulled from pillar to post. So it's working on and getting ourselves less reactive to what's going on around us and more proactive with the things that we want to do. I think I start all of these workshops with this little formula, and it's as true for this one, probably more so within time management than any of the others, that if we want to have better quality time, if we want to have time to do the things we want to do, if we want to have control over our day, you've got to be able to visualize what that is. Okay, you've got to be able to sit there and go, right, this week, this is how I want my week to pan out. This day, this is how I want this day to pan out. This morning, this is how I want this morning to pan out. Okay, if we can't start with that simple concept, then as soon as the day happens, you're just going to get hijacked because you don't know what it is that you want, because of that little part of your brain, that reticular activating system, hasn't been switched on to what it is you want. Now, it doesn't mean that just because I want to achieve this, this, and this today, that things aren't going to happen to distract me from that. Okay. But if I haven't actually sort of set out at the start of the day that that's what I want to achieve, then you've got no chance at all. It's a bit like, they say within football, you miss 100% of the goals you don't try for. So if you don't try for the perfect day, for the perfect week, well, you're never going to achieve it. It'll just be by luck that you actually do. So once we've got that visualization of knowing what it is we want to have, then, okay, we need to work on our attitude, knowledge, and skills. Do we need to increase those in order to have this? And what do I actually need to do? So am I physically doing what I know I should be doing? Okay, and Gary, for you, part of it is going to be this one here. It's sometimes we know what we want to do, we've got the skills to do it. Yes, you do, but something happens here with the actual physical doing of it. And often within business, when we're on our own, we find it hard to hold ourselves accountable. There's the book that the book club book. I don't know if you've started it yet, but Drive. He talks about intrinsic and extrinsic motivations. So some people are intrinsically motivated; they're very self-disciplined, self-driven. Other people are extrinsically motivated, so they tend to work towards, that they need some external competition in order to get them going. So he said, one of the cases, he said Simon Cowell is an extrinsically motivated person, whereas Bruce Springsteen is an internally driven person. So understanding your own personal drivers with this, it can be really helpful to know, okay, so do I need that external force? If I do, great, I've got to work on how do I get that. If I can be intrinsically driven, that's fine. I've just got to make sure I'm in a state where I can actually, use that to propel me forwards. So, as I said, most important of this is the goals, because if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Okay, so if you start the week, not being really clear what the goals for that week are, you'll end up at the end of the week somewhere. It will be a busy week because you're in business, so there will always be stuff to do. You won't get to the end of the week and go, oh well, I've had nothing to do all week. So goal setting is if you can't do goal setting, you'll never do time management. Okay, so therefore you've got to be able to set these goals of what you're actually trying to achieve.
It's definitely something I've never done before. I
Goal
think
setting.
that's in terms of like time management, I think that's part of the problem.
Very few people do, Sam. It's not something we're taught really at school, because in a way we are, but we're not taught it. We're given the structure, we're given the timetable, but we're not actually really given what the goal is. We're just told to do it. You've got to go to school. Okay, right, I'll go to school. I'm too young to argue. It's not really until you get into sort of, college, university, some jobs where, actually I set my goal and I'm very clear what I've got to achieve. But even then, the goal of people going to university is different. Some people go to come out with a first class honours. Other people just go to survive and get pissed up every night. Jobs, I get a job because, I want to earn enough money to go, to go down the pub at the weekend. That's the goal. The goal isn't job. Job is just a means to an end. So, you've got to be able to look at yourself and look at, your past history of my experience of actually setting goals and actually working towards them. So, and if we're not good at it, it's like a muscle in your body. If you're not good at it at the moment, you've got to work at it and get it better. So start with smaller goals, achieve those, and then gradually work up to big goals and bigger and bigger goals. So, I don't know if you're watching the BBC series, about the Iceman. So basically, they've taken one of these reality things. They've taken half a dozen B-list celebrities to up into a mountain in Italy, and they're doing all these extreme cold challenges. So first one was jump into an ice cold lake, abseil, front face down, a hill. Okay, so basically this is all about setting your mind on what you want to achieve, and then the be and the do actually works its way to actually achieve it. So these goals are important within ourselves and our business, because it builds up really what the essence of the whole business is. Okay, so this comes from Good to Great, where he talks about real successful businesses. So businesses are built on these core values, what I should do, and they last forever. Then there's a purpose for the business itself. So, why is the business there? It's got to be achieving something for the life of the leader. So, while you're there, this is what the purpose of the business is to do. It might change, but it doesn't change very often. Probably every 20 years or so, the purpose will change. Then you go into your 3 to 5 year targets. So this is generally the financial targets of the business, then annual goals, quarterly actions and plans, weekly schedules, and daily accountability. So when you're doing your daily stuff, if you can't relate that back to the bigger picture, to all of this, then it's going to be easy to get sidetracked. Because this has got to be the rock. This has got to be right. I'm definitely going to build this business to be £1 million turnover. I'm definitely going to do it. Because if you don't believe in this stuff, and that isn't that have isn't so big, that provides that gravitational force to pull you forwards, then something else is going to come along and you're going to get sidetracked into that. So that's what I call the magpie syndrome. The next shiny bright thing that comes across your door, that's where you'll go. Okay. Now, that's from a business point of view. From a personal point of view, you also need those. You need your big, hairy, audacious goals for personal life. For Gary at the moment, it's to find, somewhere in Oxford to live. It's not, for him, it's a big goal. On the scheme of life, it's not really a big goal, but it's one that is very important right now. Because until you've achieved that goal, you can't then go to the next goal, and then the next goal, and the next goal. So we've got to start thinking, within our business, have we set these? And this is, I mean, we can set it from day one. You don't have to. So I'll show you why in a minute. But at some point, you'll need to set the core values for the company, why it's there. What is the 3 to 5 year target? What is financial freedom, for you? Where you need to take this business in order to be able to sell it and then never have to work again. What is the budget, the forecast for the next 12 months? How are we going to achieve that? What's our plan? And then, this week, I'm going to do 3 things from that plan, 1 thing from that plan. Okay, it's by breaking it down to there that gives you the clarity of what you should do, and more importantly, what you shouldn't do. So this really comes from the way our brain actually works and is developed. So we have this little part of our brain in here called the reticular activating system. So it takes in everything that we see, everything we hear, everything we taste, smell, touch. Okay? And it's basically a filter. So it's filtering out the stuff we don't need. So I don't know if you've done this before, but it's always good to do it again. Even if you have done it, do it again. So I want you to quickly look around your room where you are now and count the number of red things that you see. Okay, so just whiz around the room. How many red things do you see? Okay, and back looking at me. So Gary, how many red things did you see?
4.
4 red things. Sam?
2.
2 red things. Okay, keep looking at me. How many green things did you see?
I'm just wanting to look now. Don't know. Wasn't looking for green things.
Okay, but you saw them. You couldn't help but not see them. Your eyes pointed at them. That information went into through your optical nerve, your reticular activating system, which I just second before programmed to look for red things, ignored everything that wasn't red. And this is what happens with goal setting. If you don't set your reticular activating system for what you want, it'll block it out. It'll ignore that vital information that may be there to help you achieve your goal. And this is why you get sort of the magpie syndrome is, oh, look, there's a shiny bright thing. Oh, that's interesting, because you've now set your reticular activating system for shiny bright things rather than what it is you actually want to achieve. So on a big picture, so what do I want in my life? You know, in a 12 months, what do I want to achieve this year? In a, what do I want to achieve this week, or 90 day, what do I want to achieve this 90 days? A week, what do I want to achieve this week? And a daily basis, what do I want to achieve this today? Yeah, we've got to get better at doing this, because this is the fundamental for success, but actually for time management. You know, checking in with ourselves, saying, right, what would be the result of today to make today one of the best days of my life? What would I need to have achieved? Okay, then you look at your diary, your schedule, and see if you can actually make that happen. And that then leads us into the way that we set goals. So, and I've come across there's these three types of goals that we can set. First one is generally quite simple. It's driven by our reptilian brain. So this is a move away from goal. Okay, so at the moment, you know, Gary's fed up, you know, living on in somebody else's house at the moment.
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so he's fed up with that. That's causing him pain.
Yep.
Okay, so is there something in your life, Sam, that's causing you pain that you don't want anymore?
Not particularly. I wouldn't say pain is the primary driver for me.
Okay, can you think
back? Like, that's a good thing, obviously.
Yeah. Can you think back to when it might have been that you were in a place?
So when I left college, for example, and I was just working for Dad, doing just like picking and packing, it was, you know, I didn't really have like a clear. I've always wanted a lot of stuff. Like, I wanted to be successful and, you know, be able to have a really nice house and blah blah blah. And I knew I wasn't on the trajectory to get towards those goals. So I guess that was pain, but not. I mean, it's pain. I guess pain's objective, isn't it?
It is, you know, but it's
different for everyone.
If you feel uncomfortable, if you don't like something, then you're subconsciously you will do whatever it takes to move away from that pain. So if the goal to have is I don't want to be in pain, yeah, then you will be and you will do what it takes to move you away from pain. Okay, but what happens is once I'm away from pain, then I stop. Okay, because once I'm no longer in pain, it's a bit like you at the moment. So you've achieved that, you're not in pain anymore, you've got some of the nice things that you're after, and you go, okay, great, I'm away from pain now. So for the majority of people, you know, that are out there, their only real goal setting is moving away from pain. And that is generally a externally driven thing. So when the external environment puts me into an uncomfortable position, yeah, I get off my backside, I go and do something and sort it out. When there is no external impact, then I don't need to move. You know, it's Newton's second law of motion. You know, an object stays at rest until it's, you know, acted upon by another force. So you stay at rest in your little comfort zone, yeah, until an external force is put upon you. That, again, is okay. You know, it's not a bad place to be, not in pain, but it's not really going to take you forward. So successful people have learned that they tap into the next level of their brain function, which is towards something. Okay, so if we look at ourselves and think, oh yeah, I probably am in that little comfort zone, yeah, in order to get out of that and move forward, we've got to have a vision and a goal of something bigger and better. And this is generally going to be, what is it that I want? What makes me feel good? So is it a bigger car, a bigger boat, a bigger plane, a bigger house, better holidays, better clothes, eating at better restaurants? You know, it's generally going to be a money related thing, you know, because we live in a, you know, capitalist society where, you know, if you want things, you generally have to buy it. It doesn't have to be, You know, it could be the love of my family and things like that. But we're talking here about, you know, driving us towards things that we want to have. Now, these are not externally driven. You know, they can be, because it's like keeping up with the Joneses. You know, my mate's got a better car than I have, therefore I want a better car to keep up with them. But a lot of this is internally driven. So these are things that make me feel good, therefore I will do what it takes to actually achieve it. Now, the problem with this one, or the good thing with this one, is it moves us well away from pain. So if I could have all the things I could ever dream of owning and having, yeah, then even when I lost those, I would still not be back in that pain situation. The problem happens, though, is once I've got everything I could possibly want, what then motivates me, what then gets me up and moving forward. The danger is I go back into that comfort zone and I'm okay. You know, I'm in a better place than I was when I was in pain. I've got everything I could possibly want, and therefore I stagnate. And this is where you find that you start wasting time. Okay, in a pain situation, you generally got things pulling on you. In this sort of stage, you tend to start to, you know, waste time because you're not moving towards anything. Therefore, your prioritization, your time management goes out the window. You're just waiting for the next thing to happen. Now, if you wait too long, you'll go back into pain situation. Something, you know, pretty bad will happen at that stage. So we've got to understand that in order to move to that next level, we've got to tap into our third level of brain function, which is our neocortex. So first level was reptilian brain. Second level was limbic system, emotional brain. Third level is neocortex, thinking brain, our human brain. So this is our ability to actually think into the future, learn from the past, but it also starts to sort of think that actually we are just part of a bigger thing that's going on. So this is what we talk about, our purpose. Why am I here? You know, once I've got everything I could possibly want, then what is it that I'm meant to be doing? What contribution to the world, you know, should I be having? And this is where we look to actually then, it's not about us anymore, it's about other people. Okay, so once I've got everything I want, then my job really, if I want to be happy, is I've got to make other people happy. Because by doing that, by helping other people, I'm going to help myself. And this is where a lot of people, successful people, will look to charities to actually go and help charities, because they don't need to do it for their own benefit. They do it for other people. Or you've got people like Elon Musk who want to change the world and help people get to Mars. You've got Bill Gates that's trying to cure malaria in Africa. Okay, so they have a cause, they have a purpose to actually, you know, to go and actually, you know, commit to. Now, you can do this one at any stage, you know. So people like Mother Teresa, you know, skipped level 1, skipped level 2, went straight to level 3. Just dedicated her life to help others. Yeah, fantastic. You know, if it can be like that, that's brilliant. But that's not, it's not really where I am. You know, I've got a career profession that allows me to do some of this because I can help people like you. Yeah, I can achieve my own personal goals. So I'm working towards those. And by doing that, I should stay away from pain. Therefore,
you can do this more effectively if you've handled your own stuff, really, haven't you? Can't you? I would say.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you don't say Mother Teresa, you know, just dedicated her life to helping other people, put other people before herself. Fantastic, you know, but it's just not, you know, it's not me. You know, Gary's actively involved with the church, you know, so he's getting a lot of sort of this goal setting here. Danger is, though, you know, if we're not doing this one, yeah, then there's always a risk we're still here. If you're trying to do this, if you're still in pain and you're trying to help people, it doesn't really work. Or you can do it, but you're not going to be. There's no longevity to it. Okay, you know, even in the Bible, it says you help yourself before you help others. Charity starts at home. You know, get your own shit sorted out, then go and help other people. Yeah, you're in an airplane. You know, when they do the safety thing, you know, when the mask comes down, what do they say?
Put yours on first.
Put yours
Sort
on first,
yourself
then help
out
other
first.
people. You know, there's sometimes, you know, this because this makes us feel good. If we do too much of this too soon, then we end up, say, back here, which means we can't do it as much as we actually want to. So once we've got that goal, we've got to make it smart. Okay, so I tend to call it smartify it. So a goal, yeah, a dream can be airy fairy. You know, I dream that I'm going to be a millionaire. You know, it's the Del Boy. You know, we're going to be millionaires next year, Rodney. You know, that's a dream. And you can have dreams, and you need dreams. You know, you need those. You need the dream board. You need all of those things that you could possibly want to achieve. You know, but they are dreams. To turn a dream into a goal, you've got to smartify it. So you've got to make it specific. Okay, so what specifically do you want to achieve? You have to have some form of measurability. So how do I measure my progress towards achieving that? Yeah. Is it achievable and realistic within the time frame that I'm set? So if you said, well, I want to be a millionaire by the end of the week, well, that's not really achievable or realistic in that time frame. Okay, if you say I want to be a millionaire in 10 years, okay, that's more achievable, realistic in a time frame. Can I measure it? Yeah. Okay. You know, what is my assets under management, you know, towards that? And if you really want a goal to be driving you forward, it has to be inspiring and emotional. Okay, you've got to look at it and go, yeah, I really want that. It's going to make me feel good. Okay, but the key for this always to remember, it's not the attainment of the goal that is where the enjoyment is. It's the pursuit of the goal that is where life is. Okay, so if you can imagine that you are a mountaineer, okay, and your goal is to climb Mount Everest. Okay, it takes you 5 years of training, working hard, getting the right weather conditions, and finally you get to the top of Mount Everest. Okay, that moment you get there, you're at the top, you look at the view, you plant your flag or whatever you do when you get to the top of Everest. How do you feel?
Pretty good. Satisfied.
Yeah, fantastic. You know, it's like I've been working 5 years to achieve this bloody thing. This is awesome, amazing. High fives all round. Crack open the champagne, whatever you do. Yeah.
Just make sure it's a goal you wanted, because if you get up and you go like, is that it? Then you got to realign your goals.
I think if you get to the top of Mount Everest, you're gonna want it. Otherwise, you would have given up a long way before.
Yeah.
So okay, so you're at the top. You celebrated, high fives. Okay. Your next big problem is what?
Getting down.
You got to get down. More people die on the way down from Everest than they do on the way up. So yeah. But let's say you've managed to get down. Okay, you've been down the path. You know, you celebrated. Yeah, this is fantastic. You wake up the next morning. How do you feel?
What's next, I guess?
Your legs ache, and then it's what's next.
Yeah, there's a void, isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's a gap. There's something missing from your life, because the day you had climbed Everest, you had a purpose, you had a mission, you had a goal to achieve. You had clarity, you had direction, you knew what to say yes to, you knew what to say no to. As soon as you've achieved that goal, you know, Gary, do you want to come down the pub? Oh, yeah, got nothing else to do. Yeah, couldn't go yesterday because I was climbing Mount Everest. And this is what you find with a lot of successful sports people, that once they retire, yeah, they go off the rails because there's nothing left to actually do. You just hang on one sec.
That's so true, though. Once your goals are achieved, it's like, now what?
So that's why we've got to set, it's the goal setting. It's always having a goal. What is it that's driving me? If it's pain, great. Use that pain, use that dissatisfaction of where you are to give you clarity of what you do and what you don't do. Yeah, if you're not in pain, then you have to set some inspiring, emotional, enjoyable goals. Some things that make you feel good. If you've got everything you could possibly want that makes you feel good, then you've got to set some purpose-driven goals. How do I help other people? How do I, build their life and make their life better than it would be? The beauty with the purpose-led goals is they never end. Once you're happy, satisfied, that's fine. But when does it ever end helping other people be satisfied? It never does. And that's why I love business, because business has the ability to deliver all three. It can get you away from pain, it can move you towards all the things you could possibly want in life, and it can actually help other people, customers, suppliers, your employees, the planet. So it's a never-ending goal machine. The problem with never-ending goal machines, that's like climbing Mount Everest every single bloody day of your life. Eventually, you get a bit tired of climbing Mount Everest, and you need to be able to escape.
Moving target.
It's got to be something else. Maybe change, like, okay, now I've done mountaineering, so now I'm going to do scuba diving. Okay, so but there still needs to be a goal. It's just sometimes, you need to change the dynamic of what that goal is. So when we look at our time goals, we've got to be able to sort of think about, okay, so first off, what is my goal for working in and working on the business? Is it an hour a week? Is it 5 hours a week? Is it a day a week? Is it 2 days a week? Is it my entire week is spent working on the business, not in it? Okay, so Gary, for you, we've talked about this before. It's, it's looking at, and when you are starting your own business, you've got to look at, it's 7 days a week. You've got 7 days, 12 hours a day available to actually do this. But you have to make that commitment, right? What am I willing to give to the business? But what do I need to give to other things? Myself, my own health and fitness, my other hobbies, my other interests, my other family. You've got to look at it, and it feels a little bit sort of rigid sometimes that we have to compartmentalize things, but you have to do it. Okay, you have to create your own timetable to actually achieve this. So it's about putting this into place, on a regular basis, because if you don't set these goals, then you're just going to be busy. Now you might achieve them, but you might not. You're leaving it all to luck.
Sure.
Okay. So as I said, you can't do time management and you can't do success until you can do goal setting. I've been studying this, I've been doing it, I've done it myself. I know when I get sidetracked, it's because I've lost clarity around my goals. As soon as I get clarity around my goals, everything falls into place. Doesn't always happen, doesn't always work that well, but everything does fall into place. I know when I'm on track and when I'm not on track. So after goal settings, then we have to think about our beliefs. So what are our core beliefs? Some things that we hold to be true. And the first thing to get across is, business is not busyness. Okay, business is not about working hard. Yes, there are times where you do have to work hard. Okay, you've got to put the effort in, but that's not the end result of busyness. If I go into a struggling business, yeah, and I look at the owner, the MD, the owner, I can guarantee you they are working the hardest out of anyone in that organization. If I go into a really, really successful business, it's almost like the owner's not there.
Yes.
You know, Richard Branson does not live by the motto of busyness. Is he doing something at all times? Yeah, of course he is. But he has, from the outside world, he does not seem busy.
Socializing on Necker Island.
He's doing what's important. What's important to him, what's important to his goals.
Flying to the moon. Or going into space. It's because he can.
Because he can. So we've got to be able to look at this and say, okay, our beliefs, around what we're doing. So if we think that business is busyness, then there's no way we're going to grow it. So I was talking to a new client, and he was looking at his goals, and he was saying, if I double the size of my business, I'm going to be twice as busy, and I can't cope with the work I'm doing at the moment. I said, okay, well, that's an interesting belief you have, which I need to challenge that right now, because that's not the case. The bigger your business, the less busy you should be.
Yep.
Okay. A business is just a group of people and processes, delivering a result. So if we believe that you're being, twice the size is going to mean more time, then we're looking at it completely wrong. And we've got to address that belief first. Again, if we can't visualize it, so if I can't visualize my business double the size, taking half the amount of my time, then I'm never going to create it. My little saying of IVVM, idealize, visualize, verbalize, materialize. If you can't see it, you can't make it happen. Okay, you've got to be able to visualize you doing these things. Okay, so when I was motocrossing in Spain, hadn't done it before, everything was brand new. I saw a big, a rocky road going up or going down. Guess what my visualization was?
You falling.
Yeah, where am I going to crash?
Okay,
that's not a great goal to be setting and a belief to have, is it?
No.
Okay, if you watch the ice thing that's on the TV where they jumped into the ice, you could see their fear is down to their beliefs. They believe that if I jump into that, it's going to hurt me, and your body will therefore react against it and try and do whatever it takes to move you away from that pain, because you've automatically put it back into pain, so it will do what it takes to move away. Now, that might be run away from it, or it might be confront that fear and just do it anyway. So our time is more important than our money. Our time is our most precious asset. So if we lose money and we've got time, we can always earn that money back. But if we lose our time, no amount of money will actually return it. So we've got to start looking at our time and going, right, if this is my most precious asset, I wake up in the morning and I've got 24 hours of this precious asset. Would I be a bit more careful in how I spent it? Whereas most people think we've got unlimited amount of time, therefore I can just spend it willy-nilly, because tomorrow there'll be another 24, tomorrow there'll be another 24. Yes, there is, and you get the beauty with that, you get the same pot as every other person on the planet. So Richard Branson is given the same number of hours as you are each day. But what you do with yours and what he does with his are completely different. So we have to start, first thing we have to start doing is respecting your time and actually thinking, right, well, if my time is the most precious asset, am I doing the right things? Okay, because if you don't respect it, then no one else is going to respect it. People just always want a piece of you. They'll take it. They see it because, you know, I'll have a piece of Sam's time, piece of Gary's time. You know, they'll take. So sometimes what we've got to do is protect ourselves. And the higher up the tree you go in a business, the more protection you need to bring in. I akin this to, you know, if you think about the CEO of a big major corporation with a massive tower block head office, you know, in Canary Wharf. Where's that CEO's office?
At the top.
At the top. Yeah. Why is it at the top? 2 reasons why it's at the top.
Good view and takes the longest to get to.
Exactly. Yeah. Best view. Well, I'm the boss, and it takes the furthest to actually get to it. So, you know, the top guys have PAs. What's the job of the PA?
Filter,
protect, gatekeepers. Yeah, no one has direct access to that CEO. Okay, in a small business, you are the business. Everything has to come through you. But as you grow, you've got to start putting these filters in place and these barriers in place to stop people getting a piece of you. So I was with a client yesterday talking about this very topic, you know, and you know, we're talking about emails. And she says, I get about 200 emails every day, and I don't respond to them. I can't deal with them. I said, well, why are you looking at them? You know, if you've got a PA or a VA to go through all of your emails, yeah, sift out the rubbish, talk to you about the good ones, yeah, you're going to be far more effective. Oh yeah, but what about the personal ones I don't want to see? Well, I have 2 email accounts. Yeah, put the personal one through your personal email and the business one through the business email. I run 3 emails. Yeah, one of my emails I look at once a week. You know, just scroll down it and only pick out stuff that is of relevance. Okay, mobile phones, you know, switch them to answer phone all the time. Somebody leaves a message, fine. If it's important, they'll leave a message. If it's not important, they won't. WhatsApp groups, you know, the pings, the sort of constant notifications, switch them off.
Yep.
Just a distraction.
I've done all that already, actually. I never answer a call unless it's got caller ID.
Yeah.
They'll leave a voicemail if it's important, won't they?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, don't even look at it. You know, just literally when my phone goes, I push the button, goes to answer phone. Yeah, they'll leave a message. So, you know, our limiting beliefs around this, you know, about time, and I see this a lot. You know, I don't have enough time to do this. I don't have enough time to be successful. You know, these are just same excuses and denial. Okay, there's nobody out there on this planet that has got successful because they've had more time than you. Nobody. Richard Branson, same number of time. Yeah, Alan Sugar, same number of hours per day. Okay, maybe they started a bit younger. You know, it's a bit like, you know, I want to be a really good golfer. Am I ever going to get as good as Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy? No, because they started, you know, when they were 4 years old, you know, and had done 12 years of non-stop practice up until the age of 16. You know, I started when I was 38 and practiced intermittently. But had I really wanted it, yeah, and that was my life dedication to do that, would I do it? Could I do it? Yeah, I could. I could dedicate my life to it. But if you dedicate your life to one thing, you have to forego other things. So when we look at the ownership, accountability, responsibility, you know, we've got to be looking at this and saying, okay, that's what I'm going for. But the result of growing a successful business, I'm going to have to compromise on other things. And that balance of what do I compromise on, yeah, it's tough. You know, it's my wife's birthday today, and I'm at work. Okay.
Oh,
yeah.
Tut tut tut, Kevin.
Tut tut tut. She's just walked out in a huff. The only thing, hopefully she won't
Sorry,
hear this.
Jane.
She won't hear this until afterwards. I've arranged a surprise birthday sort of with a load of friends at the Ivy in Winchester for tonight, but I can't tell her because it's a surprise. So she's gone off in a huff thinking she's not. None of her friends are interested in her birthday, and it's because they're coming to the birthday party tonight. So I'm not sure whether this is going to backfire big time on me.
Depends if you can get her there, I guess.
So
depends if you can get her there.
Well, that's it. She doesn't come back, then I'm screwed. So the surprise birthday that backfires on me. So.
Well, she might have a slice of humble pie later, and when she gives you a right grilling, and then you take her there, and then crap.
I'm hoping, Gary. I'm hoping that it's enough to overcome the dissatisfaction. But coming back to the sort of the hours that we've got, our time management. We can't sit there and make excuses and blame, and everything we've got as of today is down to the decisions that we've made in the past. Okay, they're done. You can't go and change any decision you've made up until this point in time. All you can do is change the decisions you're making into the future. Now, if what you've done is worked for you and it's got you to where you are and you're happy with that, then great, make more of those decisions. If it hasn't, then you've got to change. You've got to change some of those decisions. And part of that change, comes down to how we behave. So is our behavior, our actions, decisions, and results, is that conducive with, the results that we're actually getting? If I want better results, I've got to change my behavior. Now, the biggest impact on our behavior, so if you think about our behavior as, or who we are as being like an iceberg, if you think about the biggest impact on an iceberg is the environment in which it sits. So if we want to change our behavior, so we want to sort of, change our time management behavior, I'll keep it any behavior, but we'll keep it time management. If I want to change this, potentially the easiest thing I can do is change my environment. So let's say, I go to work and I'm being bombarded with questions, emails, phone calls. So therefore, I get to the end of the day and I haven't achieved anything. The environment in which I'm working is not conducive to the behavior that I want to show, which is focus, clarity, dedication to one thing. Okay, so what do I need to do?
Work from home.
Work from home. Change the environment.
Yeah, set clear boundaries.
Yeah.
It's partly why I'm at home at the moment, to be fair.
Yeah, great. Work from home. Now, sometimes working from home isn't a conducive environment. If you've got kids, that's not a conducive environment. Go to the library. There's plenty of shared office space. But you can't sit there and go into blame, excuse, and I can't get on with the work I'm doing because I'm constantly being interrupted. Take ownership, take responsibility. Right, I've got to do this. This is important. This is going to help me achieve my goals. Therefore, I'm going to change the environment. I've had clients, build offices. They've had an open plan, build an office in the corner. Put a door on it, put a big sign on the door that says "fuck off." Leave me alone. Train your team to say, I've got one client that's put the clock up on the wall because they've got an open plan office, and between certain hours is quiet time. There's no noise, no interruptions between those hours. So people can just focus on their work. Okay, build in the structure for the environment, because the environment is the easiest way to change behavior. Okay, just takes a bit of thought and a bit of, sometimes a bit of cost, but just a bit of reorganization. If the environment is conducive, if it's not the environment that's causing the behavior, causing the interruptions, then is it the skills? Yeah. Have we got the skills to say no to people? Have we learned delegation skills, how to delegate the task that I shouldn't be doing to somebody else? Okay, so maybe, and this is why I'd say at that point, you go on a time management course, you learn some skills. But I've been on a number of time management school things, and most of them are just state the bloody obvious. And if you number one, this is why I did this particular presentation, is because number one is if you know what your goals are, you'll sort it out. If you know what you've got to achieve, you'll work it out. The biggest problem with time management is people aren't clear what their goals are. If you're not clear what your goals are, no amount of time management courses are ever going to help you. If you've got the skills, then maybe it's the belief. Maybe you believe that your business can't work without you. Maybe you believe that if I leave these people alone, they're just going to fall apart. Okay, so if skills can be trained, beliefs have to be challenged. Okay, any way to overcome a belief, a limiting belief that's holding us back, is you've got to challenge it. And that's why sometimes, in our sessions, we're talking about, okay, so what's that belief that's driving that? Is there a better way to achieve it? Maybe it's read a book, and see how other people have done that. If it's down at a values level, so my values are holding me back, then this is going to be far more difficult. Okay, these are our core beliefs. So if you value sitting on your ass, finishing work at 4 o'clock and then sitting on your ass playing computer games, okay, that to change that is going to take time. So it's going to take effort. And to be honest, you probably need a bigger goal. You either need more pain, so pain of if you carry on doing that, this is what's going to happen, or a much, much bigger goal that you're really bought into. The final one is identity, is what you say to yourself about yourself when you're by yourself. Okay, so when you really look in that mirror, who do you see? Do you see a successful person that has mastery over their time? Or do you see that little school kid that was always late, never did, never amounted to much? If it's at the identity level, then my biggest recommendation for that is counselling. Go and find a therapist, work at that deep level to work out, okay, why am I thinking that? What do I need to change at my identity in order to move forwards? Now, the majority of people, it's environment, skills, and beliefs. Okay, just challenge the beliefs, give some more skills, change the environment, or change the behavior into a positive way. Okay, if you've done all of that and it's still not working, then it's more than likely to be down here. And if you want to change, then you're going to need some help with that. Any questions on those so far?
I think so.
No.
So if we looked at time management, being a better manager of our time, which area of those, Sam, do you think needs to be worked on the most?
I would say somewhere between beliefs and maybe identity. I don't know, sometimes I feel like if I'm not working, if I'm not busy, I'm not being productive, or I'm being judged for it.
Yeah, it's an interesting belief.
I'm not sure if that's a belief or identity problem, but that's, sometimes I feel like, always get the perception that people underneath you think you're not working hard when you're the business owner.
Yeah.
And I don't like the thought of that. I don't know why really. I just sometimes I just feel like maybe if I work harder, it's that problem will go away.
Yeah. So everybody that works in Virgin sits there bitching and moaning that Richard is sitting on a beach most of the time doing what he does.
You think they do?
Probably
I'm
not.
asking you the question. Do you think they do?
Probably
I
not.
don't know. I actually don't know. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I guess it's different in a smaller team though, is it?
Why?
Less levels, maybe. I guess people feel like they're more accountable to their line manager than they do like an investor in the business, because that's effectively what he is at this stage, isn't he? He's just a.
I mean, he's still. I don't know what his title is, but I still think he's still head of the company.
I'd say less levels. So if let's say you get your new warehouse worker, you'll see them weekly. I don't know whether it's daily or weekly.
Daily, for sure, yeah.
Whereas if I worked in Virgin, I'd probably never see Richard Branson the whole time I worked there. If I do see him, well, I'll probably see him in passing. But what he does is what he does. I'll never see him. But when you see someone daily, it's quite hard to kind of deal with them looking at you. Like I had Rad last year. He said, Gary, you go to too many meetings. You need to do more work. And I'm just like, I need to go to meetings to go get more work. But that was because we were working like this together. I picked him up in my van in the morning. We were together all day, and then I dropped him off in the afternoon. So it was very one-to-one. And he was telling me off for going to meetings. I'm like, I'm trying to get work. He didn't get it from the employee to the employer. There was no barrier. So I think it's that time that you have spent with the person. If there's a little bit of time, then it's fine. But if you're quite close to each other, it's a bit of a hard one to.
And maybe that clear like distinction between the two of you as well.
Yeah, like you say,
maybe
listen, I'm the boss, not you.
Yeah, maybe that's my problem as well. Maybe I'm not as distinct with that.
Yeah, the problem you've got in a small business is you wear a number of hats. Okay, you wear the hat. You wear the business owner hat. You wear the marketing director's hat, the sales director's hat, the finance director's hat, the HR director's hat. You wear the plumber's mate's hat. You wear the warehouse manager's hat. You wear the team leader hat. You wear the cup of tea boy hat. So when an employee looks at you, is when they make those comments, what they're seeing is what they want to see. So if you're their line leader, and you're not there, and they perhaps catch you having a cup of tea, they go, well, you're not really managing me, are you? You're sitting there having a cup of tea. They don't realise that you've changed hats. I'm now no longer wearing your line manager hat. I'm wearing the business owner hat. Whereas everyone knows.
It's trying to do too many jobs and not doing them well enough, do you mean?
It's understanding, look, they will have that belief that, you may, that if you're not busy, as somebody on the shop floor, if you're really busy, they want to see the people around them being really busy. Because I'm really busy, therefore I expect the people I'm working with to be really busy. If they see you sitting there with your feet up on the desk while they're busy, of course they're going to be pissed off. I'm sitting here running around and you're sitting there with your feet on the table. But you can't judge them from that because they're only working on what they see. And in their world, their belief is, as an equal to me, you're a lazy bastard.
So how do you break that belief in them? Because obviously, if they believe that, they're demotivated, aren't they?
Potentially they can be, potentially they can be.
Out of sight, out of mind. Stay away.
Yeah. Change the environment.
I remember that's what Dave done. He made an office in the corner of his, I don't know, warehouse or whatever it was. And he literally said, this is my office, stay the hell out. And so they don't see what he does now. and he gets left alone. He's like in peace and quiet and left alone. But when he was out and about, they always see him as Dave, still the electrician on the tools. And I remember him specifically saying, they keep looking at me like I'm Dave on the tools, and they forget I'm the boss.
Yeah.
And that's why he wanted his office. So yeah, I was like, I've always remembered that. I'm like, I need an office. But it's very much out of sight, out of mind. If they don't see it, then they can't judge you on it.
So you've got to look at the environment and say, okay, so why are they thinking? Okay, is that a reasonable thought? Yeah, it is reasonable. You know, if they're seeing me as their equal or just one level above, yeah, then seeing me do fuck all is, they have a right to be upset about that. But that can't change your belief that my belief is I'm a business owner and I got to work on my business. Because otherwise that brings you down, because you don't want to let them down and I'll just be a busy fool again.
So it's having the conviction to stick to that belief over and above all.
If that's your goal, that's my belief, then you stick to it, and then you work out, okay, so do I need to change? Perhaps you need to train them. Perhaps they need to understand, look, these are 27 jobs I'm doing. I work weekends, I work evenings, I've got to get all this stuff done. I can't be with you 8 hours a day. I just can't do it. So sometimes you need to train them, give them the skills or challenge their beliefs. Mm-hmm. If it's a values and identity, some people are just, I don't know, militant. They'll argue about anything. Whatever you do, they're going to argue about. Well, I'd say don't employ them then. If their values and identity are that toxic, don't have them in your organisation.
Yeah, I think training is key. Something I'm wanting to start doing, and I've been talking about doing it for a few months now, is just little training videos and just explain, so that I've got it in one uniform way through one little video that I can show them to everyone who comes through the door as an employee, that this is how I expect things. So it's building the company culture, but it's also what I expect of them and then what they'll get of me. And it's to kind of make sure there's a line drawn of a division, that I'm not your mate Dave or Gary from down the pub. I'm Gary, your boss. I'm here to help you and encourage you and to lift you up and like teach you and train you to become better men. But at the same time, there needs to be a division. So yeah, I'm busy in the process of building up or doing a video for that. And I think it's quite good to have that sort of line from the start.
So yeah, to train them, put them into the right mindset. I think those things are all key.
Yeah, that'd be really good if you get that done.
So the next thing on sort of working on the B is to understand your profile. Okay, your disc profile and how you perceive, because each disc profile perceives time in a different way. Okay, so we've got our outgoing task focused people are our Ds, outgoing people are our Is, reserved people S's, and task focused reserved people are C's. So if we look at our D's, okay, their time challenges really are, trying to control and fix things. Okay, no one else does it well enough, therefore the D maintains control over it.
Oh yeah.
They tend to delegate by telling people what to do. So if you remember the video that we watched, the sort of green and clean video, what he wanted to do was what the D would do. Yeah, clean up the litter, water it, get it done, and therefore when it's not done, they end up having to go back and fix it. Okay, so in their rush to be, to get rid of things, they don't delegate well enough, and therefore they have to keep coming back and picking up the pieces. One thing Ds are very good at is actually goal setting. So they're generally pretty good at knowing what they want to achieve. So on the surface, a lot of Ds do time management really well. They'll tell people, no, I'm not doing that. Doesn't help me achieve my goal. Don't care what you feel. It's just a no. Bugger off. Fuck off out of my kitchen. Okay, so so a lot of these do time management very well, but where it goes wrong is often they provide a lot of yes people around them because they don't like people who argue against them. So the yes people just say they're going to do it and then perhaps don't deliver it, or don't deliver it the way they want it to be delivered. So I's, on the other hand, have probably the biggest magpie syndrome. They get bored very quickly. They love to talk about it. So if there's people in the room, they'll just go over and chitter chatter, about all sorts of things. And if you've got a group of I's in your organization, you've got to be careful that they're not all just spending all day talking about things. So they'll just waste time, chitter chattering, jumping from one, oh yeah, I'll do that, that's interesting, I'm bored with this now, so I'm going to do something else. They never complete anything. Okay, again, goal setting is generally quite good for them, but planning it out isn't. They tend to start on the Monday, your phone rings, oh, there's a nice shiny bright thing, I'll go and do that. And they flit around from one thing to another thing to another thing. S's are now a bit more supportive and sort of stable, steady. That their problem is they generally can't say no. If you ask an S to do something, they'll say yes. Okay, so I was actually talking, hopefully you won't mind, but talking to Ranjit yesterday, and this was one of his traits. He says yes to people, and we traced it back to something in the past, that it was easier to say yes than it is to argue. So he'd end up with taking all of these responsibilities and then going, well, I don't have enough time to do them all. And then he starts letting people down, and then people get upset that he's letting me down, not because he's doing it on purpose, just because he's overloaded and can't do everything. So S's need to learn how to say no, to actually, be prepared to let people down. Put in time scales. If you're going to give a task to an S, make sure you put a time scale on it. Because you say, can you get this done? In my mind, it's, can you get this done by Friday? In their mind, it's, can you get this done sometimes this year? And then C's, can be quite good at time management because they're quite good at putting things into their boxes, planning things out. But what they can get stuck in is perfection. Nothing's ever good enough to actually release it, to let it go. So they hang on to things. And sometimes you just got to be what we call publish and be damned. So just get it out there, move on. And C's aren't great at delegating because again, a bit like the D's, no one can do it as well as they can. And they're not great generally in their interpersonal skills. So they can become across sometimes a bit arrogant when they do delegate things. So they don't really get buy-in to what they're trying to do. So any sort of, if I go back to the overall, anything on disc that you can see traits in yourself or perhaps traits in other people that might have time issues? Sam,
I feel like I might be tending to drift towards CNS.
Okay.
So I recognise a few of those kind of time drawback issues that I suffer from. So
So whenever you're sort of down there, always look to the opposite corner. So if you're an S, okay, I need to be a bit more D, a bit more decisive, a bit more driven, a bit more clarity around, okay, what is my goal? Right, that's the most important thing. Everything else can fuck off. You know, that's what I need to happen. Not overly that, because you need the S to be supportive, to actually listen, understand, empathy with other people. So you want to use both skills going forward. Gary?
I was going to ask you, what do you think I am?
I asked first.
No, you just said my name. You didn't ask anything. No. If I had, I would probably say a blend of D and I. Because the old magpie syndrome, which I'm trying to reel it in, it's still there slightly. I used to start things and not complete them, but I've learned now through doing jobs on my own, there's no one else to finish it for me, so I have to finish it. That's helped me to grow in that area. And then the D would be, I can be quite demanding sometimes, not too demanding. I'm quite decisive, and I'm a doer. I have to do, because if I don't do, there's no turnover. I sometimes think that no one else can do it as well as I can. But I'm realizing recently, I'm like, I don't care about that anymore. It's about getting a product. It's about getting other people to produce, not me having to be perfect. So my production doesn't need to be perfect, because if I get other people in theirs isn't going to be perfect. So I just need to produce and it be like consistently at a decent level. Whether if it's my level or not, it doesn't matter. It just needs to be to the company level. So that's the main thing. But yeah, I would say a blend of D and I, less I, more D, I think.
Right.
What do you think?
I would put it the other way. I'd say you're more, where your potentially flaws are is probably more in the I side of things. You know, you like to talk about it, but getting it done sometimes will be a bit that isn't there. So therefore, you've got to know, the I needs to go become more C. Yeah, I've got to plan this out. I've got to have some structure. It's not going to be nice. You're not going to want to do it, but that's the bit you need to do.
Yeah, no, that's good. I needed that. No one tells me. And this is one of those things, business owner, who are you accountable to? No one ever tells you off or gives you a bollocking kind of, you're doing too much. I don't see. I wouldn't have thought anything about C. So it's good that you've said that. Cautious, calculating, careful. I'm not really any of those. Competent, I guess I'm competent.
That's the thing, Gary. You're not them. That's what you've got to be. Okay. To be ideal at time management, you need an element of all of the four. So if you're not one, then that's the bit you need. In effect, what we're coming on to now is you need the systems and processes to make up for the bit you're not naturally good at.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. I'm really good at the C bit. For me, it's just natural. I just, I don't need that bit. What I need sometimes is the I and the D, which is get some bigger goals and be more clear and actually be more decisive about it. I can get a bit anal with my sort of my plan, as it were. I never had an issue with planning. It's just something that is just natural for me, and I just do it almost subconsciously.
Yeah, planning's not my strong point.
Yeah. So therefore it's got to become a strong point.
So planning would fall. That planning is a C trait, is it?
Yeah. Okay. So then we've got to start thinking, okay, so what do I need to do? So the first thing really is to sort of look at where's my time going. So a bit of a time audit. Yeah. And the way that, nice simple way, this was again from Stephen Covey's 7 Habits from Highly Effective People. He said, what we do breaks down into these 4 quadrants. Yeah. What's important, what's not important, what's urgent, what's not urgent. So anything that you do in this box, not urgent, not important, causes a distraction. Okay. So how do I know if something's urgent or not urgent?
A expiring deadline.
Yeah, there's a consequence if I don't do it now. Okay, if that deadline passes, there's a consequence. Okay, so if your house is burning down, and you don't leave urgently, you die. Okay, that's an urgent thing. You don't pay the VAT bill and the HMRC closure down, that's urgent. Okay, so urgency is generally an externally driven factor. Something external is going to come along and slap you in the face. Okay, so if you're doing things that are not urgent, it means that they don't have to be done now. How do I know if something's important or not?
If it says important on it in the subject line.
If you believe that, Gary, you'd be sidetracked with every single freaking email that comes through.
Important. You need this for your company. No, don't. What is important? Normally it's phone calls for me. Because people email me, it's things that can be done over time. But if they give me a call, that's normally like, it's more important. But at the same time, most clients that I don't know.
How do you know if a call is important? How do you know if anything is important? You can't just say calls are important, because I get 5 calls a day from people that aren't important. How do I know if something's important?
Well, yes, if it's from a high-paying client.
It's got to be more, because you get calls from non-clients.
Yeah.
What did I say at the outset of this workshop? What was the formula?
Is it something directly affecting your goal?
Yeah, exactly that. Things are only ever important if they are helping you achieve your goal. What did I say at the outset? The most important thing in Be Do Have is
the goal.
The goal. If you don't have a goal, you can't do time management, because you can't fill this box in. Because if you don't know what's important, how do you know what you should do and what you shouldn't do? Everything then becomes as important as everything else.
So if my goal is to, let's say, hit 250K turnover, that should mean that every phone call is important.
Not every phone call.
Potential clients, potential turnover.
Okay, so client phone calls become important, Now, I'm sure you get client phone calls that aren't helping you achieve 250,000 turnover. So you have to decide when that phone call comes in, okay, is this an important phone call from a client or just a whinging, irritating twit?
Yeah, well, in the time that we've been on this, I had a text from the client who I've never used. I've quoted them once. They never used me, and they said, "Oh, Gary, do you fix fences?" No, I don't. And no, I'm not there. I'm in Oxford now, so I'm not wasting my time.
Yeah, fine. It's not important. It's not. Is fixing a fence going to help me achieve 250,000 turnover? No,
not really. No.
So that is a step forwards rather than a move away from paying one, which is what any job is important. When you start, any job is important. As you grow, no, not every job is important. Okay, so if we do urgent, so the consequence that if I don't do it, it's still not important, then what happens here is I'm starting to delude myself. Because if it's not important to me, who's it important to?
Say, I don't understand that. What? Just say those words again.
So if I've asked you to do something, Gary, okay, so I said, Gary, could you do something? And you've assessed this is not important for me achieving my goal.
Okay.
Okay, but the consequence of of this not doing it might be quite high. Not to you, but there is a consequence of not doing it. If it's not important to you, who's that task important to?
It's probably important to you.
Me. It's important to me. Therefore, I'm shouting at you, Gary. I've got to get this done, mate. If I don't get this fixed, I'm in big shit. It's urgent, and it's important to me. Now, if you react to that, but it's not important to you, so it's not helping you achieve your goal, and you're deluding yourself you're busy.
So what would I do in that case? Say, sorry, Kevin, I'm busy.
Say no. Okay, sorry, I can't fit you in. I can't do this. Politely, nicely, maybe point me in the direction of somebody else that can help me. Or if you really don't like me, tell me to fuck off. It's in
the politest way possible.
The politest way.
Could one do one?
So what? And this is where a lot of people start wasting time. Is they delude themselves that I'm really busy. I was really busy sorting out a client's problem. I was really busy sorting out a team member's problem. But when you assess it and go, okay, so did it really help me move towards my goal? No. So where was your decision-making priority in when that came in? You said you actually caught yourself and said, do you know what? Is this going to help me achieve my goal? No, it's not. Therefore, okay, I won't do it. When we get into the important and urgent, so it's now there is a consequence and it's important, this is what we call demand or firefighting. Okay, so this has to be done. I can't get away with it. But the big question is, why has it suddenly become urgent? Generally, why do things get to a point where they become urgent?
They've been neglected or missed, or
they've been put off because I've been so busy doing this. I've never given it enough time, like the VAT return. Is it important to get the VAT return in, and is it urgent? Yes, it is. Well, why is it taken to the last minute to get the VAT return in? Because you didn't do it when it was not urgent. You didn't plan it into your diary. You didn't make time to make it happen. You've been so busy firefighting, doing these three things, distracted, delusion, demand, that it's got to a point where it's now urgent and suddenly you're back in here. So if we find ourselves, normal 80-20 rule is if we find 80% of our time is here and only 20% is here, then we've got a problem. It should be 80% here, 20% here, nothing in either of these.
80 in the left, you mean?
80 in the 80 in the not urgent, important. 80% in the zone, 20% firefighting, no distractions, no delusion. You're going to get to there. Are those 100% accurate? No, they're not. It's just a way of thinking and saying, am I spending 80% of my time in the zone? And I'm not necessarily saying that this is working on the business. If you've still got a role that means you have to do the work, like Gary, you've got a role of you are still, a builder, a painter and decorator. That is still important work to be done, and it's planned in and it's done. So it's probably in here. Okay, but if you're doing stuff down here or doing stuff down here, then you've got a problem. But you can only make that decision if you know what's important. If you know if it is important, Yeah, and that is your goal, then stick at it. If you don't have clarity around this, then you'll end up doing all sorts of stuff. So an example of this would be, resist phone calls, emails, social media, just talking to people for no real reason. Yeah. Reject and explain, so put your boundaries up, put your filters up to stop meetings, interruptions, really ask, why am I doing these things? Reduce or do now, get rid of the pressing problems, but find out why they're suddenly become urgent. Really think, why is this suddenly urgent? Is it something I didn't do a while back? Okay, I've got to get better at planning that in. And, plan to do.
What would you describe as an escape activity?
Escape activities, putting the, I work from home, so it would be like doing the dishes, putting the bin out, cutting the lawn, something that's just a bit mindless, but just takes me away from, the procrastinating of not doing what I should do. It's a bit like, on a Monday, I've got to do all my sales calls, all the people, follow them up. I never like it. I always get to this and go, oh, fuck it up. Got to phone that bloke up. He's right, do I really want to talk to him? He's never in, so I'm going to phone. It's like, oh, I'm going to make a cup of tea before I do it. And then you make a cup of tea and you put the telly on and you sit, watching telly now. Oh, fuck. So I've just learned over the years that, on a Monday morning, I start at the top of my to-do list and I work down. I don't analyze it. I don't think about it. It's just the person at the top of the list gets the phone call first. And I still catch myself. I still get halfway through and go, no, I'll put him off. I'll phone him next week. I'll send him an email. No, pick up the phone, dial the number, leave a message. Do it properly. Set the goal, set the plan, complete the plan.
Let's eat the frog first, isn't it?
Eat the frog. You've got to just eat frogs. Eat frogs. It's stuff that you've got to do. So just eat them, get them done, and you feel better after. I always feel better afterwards, because my inbox is empty. It's done. My to-do list is empty. On a Monday afternoon, that's it. I've done all the tasks I had to do that week. Great. If I don't get it done, then come Thursday, Friday when I want to go and play golf, oh shit, I've got all these things I've got to do. Okay. So my important, in my mind, is create the time to play golf. That's, for me, is important. So, your resource, your most precious resource is your time. So you've got to review where it's going. Okay. The first part of change, if you want to change your behavior, is self-awareness. You've got to be self-aware of where your time is going. You've then got to prioritize it. You've got to look and say, based on my what's important to me, what do I prioritize? What do I do? What don't I do? So I think to-do lists are great. You just split it all down, but then take that list and actually start highlighting what's the priority. And you've got to do that in advance. That's why we do 90-day plans. For the 90 days, those are my priorities. On a weekly basis of my priorities, what am I actually going to get done today? Prioritize your priorities. And then you've got to organize. You've got to get the structure and you've got to put it into play. Okay. But you've also got to understand, what hats are you wearing? What roles do you actually play? And that's one of the big things, I think, for business owners. You've got to understand you've got multiple hats. You're still a fee earner in your business. You're still a line leader. You're still a picker. You're actually doing the job as well as running a business. So one of the best ways to do this is you do a time log. Okay, so just on a daily basis, it's not about the activity, it's just about the type of work you've done. So you might put in here, you know, sales, marketing, finance, operations, delivery, customers, team, you know, the big headline figures. And then you just keep a track, you know, how many hours did I spend with the team? How many hours did I spend with clients? How many hours did I spend doing my books? Okay, and you just keep a non-emotional log of where your time goes. Okay, once you've done that and you know where you are, you can then look at it and go, okay, am I happy with that? Does that fit with what I'm trying to achieve? If I carry on doing that, will I achieve my goals? If not, then you've got to physically change that to suit what you want to do. Okay, so let me just write on here. Hopefully. So if we said, is it? Okay. Be like that then. We lost everything. I lost everything. But the pen's not working. If you think about the task and say, okay, my task was sales, and you totted up for the week, and I did 1 hour on sales that week. Yeah, you go, okay, is that conducive to the behavior that I want to show to achieve my goal? No, it's not. I've got to do 5 hours a week at least on sales. Okay, so then you can start thinking, right, so how do I actually manage to do the 5 hours? What is it I physically need to do to achieve that? So my mouse is just disappearing. What's my mouse? My mouse is gone. Oops. That's there. Oh. PowerPoint's crashed for some reason.
With that time log analysis, would that just be like your daily working hours, or are you saying put in everything right up to like bedtime? Like what?
I would put it up to bedtime, you know, if it's that's important to you, then put it in. So
okay, because yeah, it's quite easy to have a lot of other things involved. Like, you know, I'm involved in the church. There's a lot of other things I'm doing. So they've got Zoom calls most nights, which is quite hard work.
right. Sorry, PowerPoint has just died. technology when it messes around. Okay. Yeah. So yeah. Let's go back to here. So let's share the screen again. Sorry. There we go. Okay, back in the room. So you'd put in here, you know, sales in here, maybe team in here, finance. Yeah. Then you could say fee earning. Yeah. And you just record those hours in there. So you sort of say, well, I've got 5 there, 10 there, 10 there, 5 there, 30, 10 there. Then you'd say, right, well, what do I want to achieve? Yeah, well, I want to do 10 here. I want to reduce that to 5. I want to reduce that to 0. Yeah, that one's up to 10. I want to reduce that to 0. So let's say that's 5. So you can look at that and start saying, right, okay, so that's my goal over the next month, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. That's where I want to actually end up. But until you record your time, it's very difficult for you to make those decisions. Once you've done that, then you can look at actually using the skill fund matrix, which is then looking and saying, okay, well, those activities that I do, you know, what are the low skill, low fun things that I do? Okay, because these things just, okay, these things I want to get rid of. Low skill, it doesn't need to be me. I don't enjoy them. That might be bookkeeping, but like you, Gary, you know, some of the bookkeeping, right, just outsource that to somebody else. Get it out of my, you know, this should be sort of a £10 an hour, £10 to £20 an hour work. I don't want to do that. Get rid of it. The high fun, low skill might be things you enjoy doing. Yeah, but don't really need the skill of a business owner to do them. So what I would do with that is say reduce that down to no more than 10% of your time. Because there's some things you just enjoy doing. Okay, actually, I quite enjoy that. It doesn't need my skill, but I'll do it anyway. But make sure it's no more than 10% of your week. Okay. Obviously, we want to put this time into here, high skill, high fun. So this is where we want you to be, in these boxes here. The difficult one sometimes is the high skill, low fun. So it needs your skill because you created the system, you've got the knowledge to do this, but it's not really enjoyable. So for this, what you've got to do is you've got to de-skill it. Okay, you de-skill the 80% and you retain 20%. So you retain the overall view of it, you retain the running of the process, but you de-skill it through systems and people. Okay. So you reduce that so that that 80% goes in here. So you get rid of this, that goes in there, reduce that, that goes in there, and you de-skill that and that goes in there. So gradually this should grow to, you know, 80% of your time. But you've got to, you know, until you start doing an analysis of where your time goes, what you're doing, then you can't do this. You've got to look at that. But once you've done that, then you can make sure, am I getting the rocks in my jar? You know, so we talked about this concept of large rocks, medium rocks, gravel and sand. Yeah, you've got to get the rocks in place first. So that important but not urgent stuff, you know, the stuff that is going to help you achieve your goals, those are the bits you then start putting into your default diary. Okay, so if I've got to do 6 hours a week on sales, I've got to put in my diary the time to do those 6 hours. If I don't put these rocks in, I'll get to Monday and I'll get hijacked straight away. Yeah. Even if I get to here and go, okay, that gets hijacked. Yeah. Now I could actually swap it. So if a client wants to, well, I'll swap it with Tuesday's client and I'll do my sales calls tomorrow. Yeah. This is your most precious asset, your time. Therefore, it's your, if it was your money, you keep track of your money in your bank account. Yeah. But time is more precious than money. So how are you keeping track of your time on a day-by-day basis? Are you counting it up? Are you counting how much you spent, where you spent it? Most of us just chuck it away. Oh, it's fine. I'll just throw it away. Like chucking money down the toilet, chucking time down the toilet. So we've got to treat it with the respect that it deserves, because as I said to start with, if we don't respect it, no one else will respect it for us. They'll just take it, because it suits them. They're achieving their goals by taking your time. Any questions on the recording of time? Those 3 documents: the default diary, the time audit, and the skill fund.
Are they all downloadable, those files?
I've got those, Sam. So yeah. I can send you a copy of those sort of templates.
That'd be good. Yeah, at least I've got it on the computer then.
Cool. And a couple of other sort of little things just to think about. Any idea who this guy is?
Is it the first guy to get to the North Pole?
South Pole.
South Pole. I don't know who it was.
So this guy's called Amundsen. So he was in a race with Scott the Antarctic to get to the South Pole. And this guy was a very high C person, very, very disciplined, very analytical. Scott was far more DI. So he was a bit more sort of gung-ho. Yeah, we're going to get there, sell people on the dream. So Scott invested in machines. So he bought, this is the early 1900s. So, obviously, everyone was the industrialized world. So you got these big sort of Caterpillar tank things that were going to get into the South Pole, and he got horses as backups. Amundsen decided that he would go to the North Pole, because the only people he knew because there's obviously no one lives on the South Pole. So he went to see the Inuit Eskimos to find out, how they cope with cold conditions and snow, and they all had huskies. So he got his husky teams, and he got his he used huskies to get him in there. Scott's tanks all froze the moment they got to the South Pole, and he couldn't use them. They sunk into the snow. Horses were good, okay, until what? What do horses do when they work hard?
Sweat.
Yeah, what does sweat do when it hits -10 degrees?
Oh, freezes.
So the horses lasted about 2 days. So therefore, Scott was left with his team carrying their own bags to the South Pole. Amundsen, because he'd done his homework and planned it out, actually had huskies, and also, if you're trying to feed horses, what do you need?
Grass.
Grass and hay. Yeah. How much hay is there in the South Pole? How heavy is hay? So it's just ridiculous. He just did not plan this at all. There was no structure, no planning. He was just gung-ho. We're going to do this. We're British. We can achieve anything. Amundsen, Norwegian, much more sort of, detailed, plan this right out. So his plan was, we bring the dog food. When the dog food runs out, and dogs go hungry, what do dogs do?
Each other.
They die, yeah. Yeah. When a dog dies, what do we do with a dead dog? Feed it to the other dogs.
Feed it to the other dogs.
So his plan was, so that he came back with half the dogs that he went with. But he made it to the South Pole. His other thing was, the way he was going to achieve it was a 20-mile march. Every day, no matter what the conditions, you do 20 miles. Okay. First day, sunshine. Okay, beautiful, out there, real nice sunshine, 20 miles, easy going. He was camping around about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. This is, it's daylight 24 hours a day. Scott, easy day, right, we're going to do 40 miles today. Second day, sunshine, Amundsen does 20 miles, Scott does 40 miles. Thinking, yeah, we're miles ahead, we're doing really well. Third day, weather changes, really bad storms. Scott decides we're well ahead, we'll stay in today. Amundsen does 20 miles. Next day, still bad weather, Amundsen does 20 miles, Scott stays in. Okay, next day, rough ground. Yeah. Scott manages about 10 miles because obviously they're carrying. Amundsen does 20 miles. 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles. And you know the story that Scott got within, I think, 2 miles of the South Pole and the whole team died. Not a great form of leadership, taking your entire team to death. Amundsen brought his entire team home. So when it comes to time management, what we're doing is we're actually sort of doing 20, bite off what you can chew and do it consistently. Don't do 10 hours of sales one week, nothing the next week, 5 hours the next week. Okay, so just add this little sum up if you can. Yeah. So Sam, you're going to be Amundsen. Gary, you're going to be Scott.
Oh, come on. Why do I have to die? Well, it's not me who dies. Everyone around me dies.
So you do, and say, that's okay. So let's say you do.
It's about right though, isn't it?
So if you add these numbers up, so if you do 30 miles the first day, then 5, then 10, then 25, then 10. Okay, so you've had 2 days where you've exceeded, the 20 miles.
Yeah.
And then Sam, you're going to do 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles, 20 miles.
Huh. Okay. Let's see where you're going with this.
Yeah. How many miles has Sam completed?
He's done 100.
He's done 100 miles. How many miles have you completed?
I've only done 80.
Okay.
There's already 20% of the difference.
So you start to feel good. You feel good because on a couple of days you've smashed it. But those are not the important days. It's the days where you don't achieve it. And that's where you fall. That's where you lose your ground. You fall further and further behind. So whatever you decide is important, set the amount of time you're going to do and then commit to that amount of time. 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week. I've got to do my sales calls. I've got to do my sales calls. I've got to get, I've got to get the leaflets out. I've got to work on my business. I've got to do the numbers. Whatever it is, you've got to commit to doing that consistently. And the final point is, there are going to be frogs you've got to eat. Things you don't want to do, you've been putting off for ages. The big thing for this is, as Mark Twain says, eat a live frog every morning and nothing worse will happen for the rest of the day. Get it done, get it out the way. Then the rest of the week is fine. That's why I do my sales calls on a Monday. Okay, just get them done. It's not the most enjoyable part of my job, but I know it's important. It has to be done. Therefore, it's given priority. If you do it later in the week, you start thinking, oh God, I've got to do that. Oh, and it starts that you lose your energy just thinking about doing it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, goals or home fun, you know, number one, set your goals for the year, the quarter, the week. You know, you've got the more effort you put into goal setting, the easier all this becomes. Think about your limiting beliefs. So what could be holding you back? You know, that busyness, the belief that your team think that you're a slacker if you're not working. Yeah, any belief like that is a limiting belief. It's holding you back. Challenge it yourself. If you want to bring it up with me, fine, we'll talk about it. Okay, you're not the first person that's going to have felt those feelings and believed those things. And then, you know, make sure you do your time audit, record where your time's going. And I would say, you know, continue to do that. It changes, and come up with a default diary. Yeah, I would agree default diaries don't work for everybody. Okay, but if it's not working for you, come up with something that does. You know, don't use it as an excuse. Oh, well, I'm not, you know, I'm not structured enough to do that, or my environment. I'm working with a client on Tuesday that was, oh, I can't work to a default diary because, you know, my clients are always contacting me. That's just bollocks. It's just an excuse. It's just a belief. You know, if your daughter was ill, you know, at a hospital, you know, and you were in, you know, she was in surgery and you were there, would you take that call? No, you wouldn't, because that's the most important thing in your life right at that moment. Okay, getting clarity with what's important is the first step in goal setting. You've got to do that, otherwise nothing else is going to work. So. Oh, so any final questions?
I don't think so. No, it's that was really helpful. What to think about.
Well, look, I look forward to, you know, if you do your default diary, send those through. I will send those bits through to you. Yeah, have a super Easter, and I'll see you on the other side. So take care.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot,
Now,
Kevin.
Hope you have a nice